as second chapter of thermal engineering. We're going to discuss about gas laws as second chapter of thermal engineering. So, gas laws basically helps us understand the behavior of gases under different conditions. The gas laws, here some of the gas laws you have already studied in physics, engineering physics. I will look into it in a practical point of view. So Boyle's law, Charles law and Avogadro's law, then Joule's law, gas equations and relation between specific heats at constant volume and constant pressure. So let us start with Boyle's law. Boyle's law states that at constant pressure, the pressure of a gas is inversely proportional to the volume. That means, say suppose there is a piston and cylinder arrangement and there is a gas. Okay, initially the temperature is T1. Okay, say suppose if you compress the gas, that means volume, what happens to the volume? Volume decreases. Then what happens to the pressure inside the cylinder? Pressure increases. That is due to decrease in volume. So Boyle's law states that, so after compression also the temperature is T1 only. Okay, so here we can understand that at constant temperature pressure is inversely proportional to the volume. Say suppose this is pressure and this is volume. If you represent this Boyle's law on a PV diagram, here initially the volume is more and pressure is less. This is the point 1. Okay, so if you compress the cylinder, then the volume decreases and pressure increases. So this will be like this. Okay, so this is 2. You can say that this follows Boyle's law, and here the equation will be, so pressure is inversely proportional to volume. So we can say that PV is proportional to 1 or P into V P into V is equal to some constant. So P1 V1 is equal to constant, P2 V2 is equal to constant. So we can write like this: P1 V1 is equal to P2 V2. This is the law followed by Boyle's law, and also this can be written as constant temperature process, or which is also known as isothermal process. So Boyle's law basically tells you how isothermal process behaves. So here pressure is inversely proportional to the volume. Okay, this is Boyle's law. Next we will go to Charles. So Charles law, in your textbook, Charles law is written as like this: Charles law 1 and Charles law 2. But actually in standard textbooks it is written as Charles law, and the Charles law 2 is written as Gay-Lussac law. Okay, so now we will see how we can understand Charles law. So Charles law, at constant pressure temperature is proportional to volume. So whenever we say the pressure is constant, we have to take a piston and cylinder arrangement. Okay, so basically there is a gas at certain pressure P1. Okay, so temperature is proportional to volume. That means if you try to increase the temperature by, if we supply heat, the temperature, what happens to the temperature? The temperature increases. Okay, so if temperature increases, the pressure inside the cylinder increases. So to compensate that increment, what happens is this piston tries to move up. Okay, the gas inside the cylinder will expand so that to maintain constant pressure. So indirectly what happens here, if the temperature is increasing, this gas is trying to expand. That means volume is increasing. So if temperature increases, volume also increases. That is what it is telling. At constant pressure, temperature is proportional to volume. So T is proportional to V by T equal to constant. This can also be written as V1 by T1 is equal to V2 by T2. So here, if you draw the PV diagram for this Charles law, initially the volume is less. So this is 0.1. So pressure is constant. So it will be a straight line parallel to x-axis. So here P1 is equal to P2. Okay, basically Charles law helps us understand what is a constant pressure process. This process is also called as isobaric process. So what are the units for pressure? Which is bar. That is why it is isobaric pressure. Okay, this is Charles law. If you look at the next law, this can also be considered as Charles law 2, or in standard textbooks it will be called as Gay-Lussac law. Okay, so it is similar to Charles law. Only thing is here volume is constant. That means you take a vessel containing gas, so there is no way to this volume cannot be increased because it is a fixed vessel. Okay, this vessel is a rigid vessel. So in a problem, if you say rigid vessel or say closed vessel, this means it is constant volume. Okay, in the exam, if it is given as rigid vessel or closed vessel, that means we have to take the volume as constant, like this here, like this case. Okay, so here the volume is constant. If temperature increases, say if I tried to heat this gas, what happens to the pressure? The temperature increases, the energy of these gas molecules will increase. So inside the pressure inside the gas also, inside the vessel also increases. So that is what it is saying. At constant volume, temperature is proportional to pressure. That means if temperature increases, pressure also increases. This is written as T is proportional to P, or P by T is equal to constant, or P1 by T1 is equal to P2 by T2. So this is known as Gay-Lussac law or Charles law. So for this, the PV diagram will be, so here volume is constant, so the temperature is increasing, so pressure also increases. So from 1 to 2. So this is Charles law or constant volume process. So the another name for constant volume process is isobaric process. Okay, from 1 to 2, the pressure is increasing, so as temperature. Volume is constant, so it will be a straight line parallel to the y-axis. Okay, this is Charles law or Gay-Lussac law. So next we'll see how characteristic gas equation is obtained. Actually, characteristic gas equation PV by T is equal to constant. From this, we will get PV is equal to MRT. Here M and R are proportionality constants. Okay, we'll try to derive this relation. First of all, we have to consider Boyle's law and Charles law. First Boyle's law, then Charles law. That means initially it is a isothermal process from 1 to, say, this point as A. Then it is a constant pressure process. It is a constant pressure process. That means this is followed by, this follows Boyle's law and this follows Charles. Here temperature is equal to constant. Here pressure is equal to constant. So here the pressure will be P1. Here the pressure will be P2. V1, VA, V2. These are the pressures and volumes corresponding. So here the process 1 to 2 is, 1 to A is isothermal process, or temperature is equal to constant. So for 1 to A, T1 is equal to TA. Similarly, for A to 2 process, PA is equal to P2 because it is a constant pressure process. Okay, now we'll see what is the relation between these two. So for first process, since it is Boyle's law, we'll write like this: P1 VA is equal to, P1 V1 is equal to PA VA. Here PA is equal to P2. So we'll write like this: P1 V1 is equal to P2 VA. So from this, PA is equal to, VA is equal to P1 V1 by P2. So after getting this equation, kept it aside, and second is, since it is Charles law and constant pressure process, VA by TA is equal to V2 by T2. So here TA is equal to T1. So VA by T1 is equal to V2 by T2. So VA is equal to write like this, VA is equal to V2 into T1 by T2. So VA value is this, P1 V1 by P1 V1 by P2 is equal to T2. So after iterating this, we get P1 V1 by T1 is equal to 2 by T2. Okay, that means for any process, that may be a isothermal process, isobaric process, or constant volume process, or isochoric process. Whatever the process is, it follows the same law. Say, suppose if we apply this law, which is P1 V1 by T1 is equal to P2 V2 by T2. If we apply this law to process 1 to A, then it will be PA VA by TA. Since it is isothermal process, T1 and TA gets constant. So P1 V1 is equal to PA VA, which is this law. And if I apply that same law to the process A to 2, PA VA by TA is equal to P2 V2 by T2. So here the process is constant pressure process. So PA P2 cancels. So VA by TA is equal to V2 by T2, which is this second process law. Okay, this is known as characteristic gas equation, and from this we can write like this, PV by T is equal to constant. Okay, so proportionality constant here is M into R. So from this, PV is equal to MRT. This is known as characteristic gas equation. And also, this M is mass of the gas, and this R is called as characteristic gas constant. That means this is the constant for specific gas. That means if it is air, there will be one value of R, and if it is oxygen, it will be one value of R. Okay, whatever may be the pressure and temperature, this is constant for that gas only, which is air, and also similarly for oxygen. That is why that is the characteristic of that particular gas. That is why it is called as characteristic gas constant. So the units for this is, so we can write like this, R is equal to PV by MT, which is pressure units are Newton per meter square into meter cube by kg Kelvin. So meter square cube, Newton meter, which is joule per kg Kelvin. So the units for R are joule per kg Kelvin, or sometimes it is kilojoule per kg Kelvin. This is the unit for characteristic gas constant R. Next we will see Avogadro's law. So Avogadro's, basically from this we will get universal gas equation from Avogadro's. Okay. So Avogadro's law, say there are two gases, say CO2 and N2. There are two gases and both are having same pressure and temperature. Say this is at atmospheric pressure and atmospheric temperature, like 1 bar and 25 degrees centigrade. This is also at 1 bar pressure and 25 degrees centigrade. And also this volume of the container is also same, okay, equal volumes. Then he is saying that the number of molecules in this gas is equal to the number of molecules in this gas. So for same pressure and temperature, the perfect gas will have same number of moles in equal volumes. That is what Avogadro's law is. That means basically here whatever the number of moles, say N1, it is having, and here N2. The volume is same, N1 is equal to N2. That means we can write like this: N1 by V1 is equal to N2 by. If volumes are same, then N1 is equal to N2. The number of moles in this gas is equal to number of moles in this gas. Okay. So N1 by V1 is equal to N2 by V2. So after getting this Avogadro's law, so we have to understand about molecular weight. Molecular weight. In molecular weight, the units for molecular weight are kg per kilomole. So kilomoles means 1000 moles. Okay, kg per kilomoles. Say suppose we know that for say oxygen, molecular weight is 32. That means 32 kg of oxygen. Okay, 1 kilomole of oxygen will have 32 kgs of mass. That is what molecular weight is saying. So here we are saying this is same. Okay, this is same. So molecular weight is equal to mass by number of moles. Okay, so we can write like this: M is equal to N into M, where this N is number of moles and M is molecular weight. Okay, so from this we'll get universal gas equation. So characteristic gas equation is PV is equal to mRT. Here the pressure, volume and temperature are same. Only this will differentiate between this gas and this gas. So if you replace this N with N into M with in place of mass, we will write like this. So PV is equal to N into M into R into T. So this product, okay, this product of molecular weight into characteristic gas constant. This is called as universal gas constant. So why it is universal gas constant? Because for any gas this will be constant. For any gas this will be constant. This is because from Avogadro's law, what are we saying? The pressure is same, temperature is same, number of moles is same and volume is also same. The pressure is same, volume is same, number of moles is same, and also temperature is same. So this should be the same. So mass, which is universal gas constant. So this equation will become PV is equal to N into RU into P. So RU is equal to mass into molecular weight into characteristic gas constant, or you can write like this: R is equal to RU by M. So here if you write the units for universal gas constant, PV by N into T. So same Newton meter PV by N kilomoles temperature Kelvin. So for universal gas constant, the units are joule per kilomole Kelvin or kilojoule per kilomole Kelvin. So if this is equal to joule per mole Kelvin, because here kilo and kilo will gets cancelled. So this value is 8.314. This universal gas constant is 8.314 kilojoule per kmol Kelvin. So if you want to calculate the characteristic gas constant of oxygen, okay, for O2, R is equal to RU by M. That means 8.314 by molecular weight of oxygen, which is 32. You will get that characteristic gas constant of the oxygen. If you want to calculate characteristic gas constant of nitrogen, then R will be equal to 8.314 by molecular weight of nitrogen 28. So you have to remember one thing, R for air. This will be very important to calculate any problem. You have to remember this value of characteristic gas constant of air. So actually air is a constant of many gases. Air contains oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, and so on. Majority of the part will be covered by these two. Around 25% is oxygen and around 70% is nitrogen. So nitrogen molecular weight is 28 and this molecular weight is 32. So 70% is nitrogen. That is why molecular weight of air is taken as 29. Always you have to remember molecular weight of air is 29. So if you want to calculate R of air, characteristic gas constant of air, that will be 8.314 by 29, which is 0.287 kilojoule per kg Kelvin. That is the relation between characteristic gas constant and universal gas constant, and this is known as universal gas equation. Okay. Next we will see what is Dalton's law of partial pressure. So Dalton's law of partial pressure is, he is saying that there is a volume containing different gases like O2, N2, CO2, etc., etc. So Dalton's law says the total pressure will be equal to partial pressure of constituents gases. So partial pressure of oxygen plus partial pressure of nitrogen plus partial pressure of carbon dioxide plus so on. All this will become, if you equate all this, then we will get the pressure of the total gas. Whereas volume, the volume will be, total volume will be equal to oxygen equal to N2. We know that gas occupies whatever the volume of the vessel is there. Okay, that is why here volumes are same, equal, but whereas pressure will be constant. So he is saying that the total pressure will be equal to partial pressures of individual gases. That is Dalton's law of partial pressure. Next we will go to Regnault's law. So Regnault's law states that the specific heat of a gas remains constant. Specific heat. Okay. So first we have to specific heat of gases are Cp and Cv. First we will see what is specific heat of gas. This is okay. This was already covered in chapter 1, but we will see. So here specific heat, that means whenever you are supplying heat to a system, the temperature will rise in two types. Say like this, means so this is a closed vessel or rigid vessel. That means this volume is constant. Whenever we are saying a piston and cylinder, means here pressure is constant. Okay. So specific heat is this. There are two types of specific heats. One is Cp and one is Cv. Specific heat means whenever you supply some heat, the temperature of the gas will increase. The amount of heat, this amount of heat required to increase unit temperature of unit mass of gas. So at constant temperature means it at constant pressure means it will be Cp, and if it is at constant volume means it will be Cv. So whatever Cp is Q by m into delta T. So if it is at constant pressure, that will be Cp. M is for unit mass, m for a unit temperature increase, delta T. Delta T means difference in temperature. Whereas Cv is also same, Q by m into delta T. This will be at constant volume. Okay, that is Cp and Cv. So generally here what happens is, if you kept pressure constant, this will expand. This piston will move upwards. So whatever the heat is supplied, that will be used to increase the temperature and also to do some work. That is why Cp is always greater than Cv. Cp is always greater than Cv. Here the whatever the heat is supplied is totally converted into totally used to increase the temperature. Here there is no expansion, hence there is no work. That is why total heat will be converted to temperature increase, whereas here some part will be converted to work. That is why you have to give more heat to raise the temperature, whereas here less heat will be sufficient. That is the beauty of pressure cooker. In pressure cooker, say there is a pressure cooker. What happens here is, in pressure cooker constant volume is maintained. So here volume is constant. So whatever the heat is given is used to increase the temperature. That is why we will get more fuel efficiency in case of a pressure cooker, because it is volume heating. Whereas if you cook rice in a open vessel, what happens is the gas will expand and go away. That is why it will take more time for cooking, whereas a pressure cooker it will take less time. Okay, so Regnard's law states that specific heat of a perfect gas remains constant even though there is a change in temperature, and also this ratio is constant, which is Cp by Cv. This is known as adiabatic index, or it is represented by gamma. So from now on we have to know gamma is equal to Cp by Cv. This is the relation between Cp and Cv. This is always constant for a given gas. After knowing that, we see what is the relation between Cp, Cv and R. Okay, so first we will consider a constant pressure heat addition. In the last chapter we have discussed about enthalpy and also internal energy. So this is denoted by H, and this is H, and this is denoted by U. So for H is equal to U plus PV. We also know this formula also. Say suppose there is a system which is initially at a state 1 and it is heated at constant pressure, or any process from 1 to 2. Here we don't need to assume it. So at point 1 we can write like this: H1 is equal to U1 plus P1 V1, and also H2 is equal to plus P2 V2. So if you take this, H2 minus H1 is equal to U2 minus U1 plus P2 V2 minus P1 V1. So this is change in enthalpy, this is change in internal energy. The formula for change in enthalpy is mCp T2 minus T1. Here formula for change in internal energy is mCv T2 minus T1 plus, so we know that from characteristic gas constant P1 V1 is equal to mR T1. Similarly P2 V2 is equal to mR T2. We will write like that: T2 minus mR T1. So we'll bring this mR outside, and it will be T2 minus T1, mCp T2 minus T1. So m is there in all terms, so cancel out, also T2 minus T1. So finally you will get Cp is equal to Cv plus R. This can be, if you rewrite this like this, R is equal to Cp minus Cv. This is the relation between Cp, Cv and R. And also you know that Cp by Cv is equal to gamma. Cp by Cv is equal to gamma. So if you substitute Cp is equal to gamma into Cv in this, we will get R is equal to Cp. R is equal to gamma into Cv minus Cv. So from this Cv is equal to R by gamma minus 1. Cv in common. If you take Cv common, Cv into gamma minus 1. So Cv is equal to R by gamma minus 1. So we know that Cp is equal to gamma into Cv. So gamma multiplied by this. So gamma R by gamma minus 1. These are the relation between Cp, Cv and gamma. If you remember this, you can easily derive these two formulas. Okay, this is the relation between Cp, Cv and R. So in the next class, we'll see different problems we'll get in the exam of this